Hi guys, Jordan from P&P Campers. Just going to be doing a handover video on this Autosleeper Cotswold. So it's a 2010 and based on the Peugeot Boxer chassis. So what I'll do is I'll start under the bonnet, I'll work my way all the way around the outside, and then I'll jump inside and show you what we've got going on in there as well. So, under the bonnet, on these newer cabs, you tend to find that all of these sort of consumable items are over on the left-hand side here. So on the top left-hand side, we've got your washer fluid, then got your power steering fluid, engine coolant, and brake fluid. Down a bit lower, we've got your engine oil filling point. You can see just here, nice colour on that one. And the engine oil dipstick is the little yellow one down here at the front. Now you've got air conditioning in this vehicle, so you've got two air conditioning pipes just here, and your aircon filling points are up here at the back. A couple of things to point out. So on the actual front just here, you've got a little code there, 249, which is basically a Fiat paint code, because Fiat and Peugeot are the same company basically when it comes to these vans. So the paint colour for the actual vehicle itself is Fiat 249. Your chassis plate just there, which I won't show on the video, and we've got your air conditioning information on this one here. Now if you want to jump start the vehicle, because the engine battery sits under the floor in the cab, you've actually got a little cover just here which opens up and basically just reveals a positive terminal, which is directly linked to the positive terminal on your engine battery. So you've got positive terminal there for jump starting, and a negative or an earthing point just here at the front. So if you want to jump start the van, you've got your 2 points just there, and it means that you don't have to start dismantling the floor in the cab to get to the battery. Now inside the passenger door, we've got your bonnet release handle just inside there. And just behind the passenger door, we've got your diesel filling point. The next locker we get to is a storage locker. It's basically just got your awning winder, some carpet bits and pieces in here. Nothing too exciting really in there, just sort of storage really underneath the side settee. You've got an external gas point just here. So if you wanted to use this as, well, it's basically a barbecue point, that is your external gas point there. Now on this vehicle, you have got an underslung gas tank. So to fill up the gas tank, you've got a filling point just here. And the actual gas tank itself, if I just get down here, is underneath here. So that's the black unit that you can see just there. Now I have undersealed this, so using like a proper underseal spray. They do need doing every now and again because they do get a little bit corroded. As in, I mean, you know, it's right at the bottom of the vehicle. It's going to get the worst of the weather, so they do get a bit corroded. But I've sanded this back a little bit and resprayed it, so that should last you a good few years from now. If you wanted to turn the gas bottle off, you have got a little access cover just here, which is what you need to get into to actually turn the bottle off. For the most part, these underslung tanks are a little bit different to the cylinders, so you know, you don't have to turn it off every single time or anything. But yeah, just sort of point that out to you. That's where the isolator is. This next part just here is your freshwater filling point. Now in that cupboard just there's a little blue tap, if you like, which basically just plugs into this and then drops into an external tank. So you can fill it up by doing that. It takes, you know, no time at all to plug that in and get the water flowing through. But that is your freshwater filling point. The actual door itself, the habitation door, you've got the bin on there. You have also got a blackout blind and fly screen on here because this is actually an opening window. You've got the electric step, which comes out with this little black button just here, which just press it once. Working nicely. And we've also got the Fiamma D-bar here as well. So to actually release the D-bar, pull this little bit down just like that, and then you'll be able to twist this around to wherever you want it to go to. Now obviously that is sort of doubles up as a lock, so you can lock it across the door, and also doubles up as a handle to help you get in. So they're a nice little thing to have. You've got the full-size Omnistore awning running across the top of the van, so you can wind that out from the front up there, and you'll then be able to drop the legs down and make it up into a little sort of side sun canopy area. At the back of the van itself, we've got the tow bar at the back here, Total tow bar, so it's a proper brand, and your twin reversing camera. So you've got a camera that looks straight down, so you can see how close you are to things, and you've got a camera that looks straight back. So because obviously with the motorhomes you don't actually have a rear window to look through, some people tend to opt for these double cameras so that you can actually see straight back all the time anyway, because you'll be able to use the screen in the cab all the time, or you can use it just for when you're reversing. It's completely up to you. So on the rear off side of the van, down low, we have got your wastewater drain off point. So if I wanted to drain out the wastewater for in this van, twist this around and it will start draining out like so. Super easy, and that is your wastewater drain off point. You know it's waste because it's the grey waste handle, and just further towards the front just there, you can probably just about see it there. We've got your fresh drain just there, which is a blue handle. So blue is the fresh, grey is the waste. So just above that, we've got your toilet cassette locker. So you've got a flush reservoir up here. So to open this up and refill it, you've got a cap just here. Now it looks like it's really full, but actually it's not really full. This is basically just a U-bend here. So that there will always look full. So the actual gauge that you need to look at is this one here on the left-hand side, which you can see it's only about half full. So when you start pouring stuff into this, it won't actually overflow. It will just start filling up this here. So that there is your actual gauge for the flush fluid. To remove the actual cassette itself, if I don't even know what that is. Not supposed to be in there. To remove the actual cassette itself, lift up on the little yellow, the little green tab just here at the front, and you'll then be able to take the cassette all the way out. Okay, so when you actually empty this out, you basically twist this around like this, take this cap off, and then when you're draining it out from there, you hold down the little green button there at the back. To push it all the way back in, you literally just keep going until you hear the last click, like so. It's a little bit quiet there, but as long as it's gone over that little lip just there, it's good to go and ready to be used again. Sorry about that. So you've got these two vents just to the right of that. So these two here. Now these are both to do with your fridge. So if you ever needed any access to the back of the fridge, which hopefully you won't, but if you did, they are the access points for that. You've got an external TV socket just here. If you wanted to use that, you can. Most people don't nowadays, but it's there if you want to use it. We've got your electric hookup point. So if you did have access to a hookup cable, it's really handy to have that plugged in because it means that your leisure battery is going to be at full power. It just essentially means you haven't got to worry about the voltage on the battery. You can use as much as you want inside of the van and it will just keep itself topped up all the time. So, in the cab, I'll just move this seat a little bit. It's obviously been moved as in the habitation check. Right, so in the cab itself, you have got, well, just shy of 70,000 miles, which is nothing for one of these vehicles, to be honest. It's a pretty decent mileage for what it is. Previous owners of the van actually used it quite a lot because it was sort of, I think it was something, they used it for work or something like that. And, you know, basically what that tends to mean is that things have actually been quite a lot better than most because things have actually been used. It's normally the vans that have been left, you know, parked up for years that give us the most problems. So it's a good thing, really. So anyway, on the door, we have got, up here, we've got your electric mirror adjustments. So you can turn this around like so, and move the mirrors around to wherever you want them to be moved to. Two little switches just here. These are both for your electric windows, so it's just left and right window. And you can adjust, you can lock and unlock the cab from these buttons just here. You've got a little remote just here, just pointing this out. This is to do with the reversing camera screen, which is up there on the center mirror. So if you want to use that, you can. Most people just use the buttons on the screen, but it's up to you. You have got, because we're on the Peugeot, you have got the steering wheel controls and the original factory fitted stereo, which is always good. So you've got the source, skip and rewind, all that sort of stuff, volume and mute just there. You have also got your lights and indicators on the left-hand stalk. On the lower left-hand stalk, you've got your cruise control option just there, so you can turn it on and off and resume from this little button on the end. Washers and wipers are on the right-hand stalk over here, and you've got a trip button just here, which is all to do with the mileage on the center screen. You've got the 6-speed manual gearbox, which is always nice. So the 5 speeds can, if you're on a motorway, sometimes on the 5 speeds of these, they can feel a little bit like, you know, they're desperate for another gear. So having the 6 speed is always nice. As I say, you got the factory fitted stereo there. You got your air conditioning switch from this little button just here in the middle. And then obviously your standard sort of heater controls. I don't intend to run through those because it's just self-explanatory stuff, really. You've got your hazard lights from the middle. You can lock and unlock the cab from in here as well. ASR, that's I think to do with the ESP, so that's like your electronic stability control stuff. So you know, if you're going off-roading, hopefully you won't be doing too much off-roading in this, but that is what the switch just down there is for. So the reversing camera, if I just grab the key out, the reversing camera has been wired up to an ignition live cable. Okay, so basically what that means is it will not work unless the ignition is turned on, which is a very, very good thing. It essentially means that you won't be able to drain out the battery with this being on all the time. So if I turn it on now, just push that back onto it a bit more. See there, screen's actually upside down. But basically, if you press V1 and V2, you can see that one looks straight back and one looks straight down, so you can see how close you are to things on the back of the van. So it's a nice clear picture. You can turn the screen on and off if you want to whilst the ignition's still on, but when you turn the ignition off, it will go off. But they take a few seconds to go off on these ones. But essentially, it's an ignition live cable, so it will turn itself off. All right. So, that's about it for the cab, really. I can't really show much else, to be honest. I don't think there's much more to show. Right, so what I tend to do is I'll start up here on the control panel, and then I'll work my way through the appliances. But the layout in here is a very standard sort of layout. I personally really like these ones because sometimes with a fixed bed vehicle, what a lot of people say is that it's kind of wasted space at the back. And I get that in a certain sense, because it means that, you know, you can't put the bed away. It's always there. Whereas with these ones, because you've got the two side settees, they literally pull together to the middle, and then you pull the cushions down from the backrests, and that makes up the bed. So it genuinely takes about 20 seconds to make this bed up completely. You can also, because this is the longer version, the Cotswold, you can actually use these as just single beds if you want to. So you can actually even just leave these as they are. So it's up to you how you want to use it, but I just love how quick and easy it is to make these beds up, and also to put it back to sort of like a more sociable layout. Both the front seats swivel round. All right, so if you do have people round and you want to have a few more seats available, both front seats swivel all the way around. You'll also have a full-size standalone table, which I believe is in this little locker here. So you can put that full-size table up in the middle. You will also have, because you've got this little bit in the floor here, you'll also have a little circular silver pole somewhere, which I'm not sure off the top of my head where that is, but it will be in the van somewhere. And that's basically just to give you another small table at the end if you wanted to use one for the 2 cab passengers. So really sociable layout, nicely built vehicle. Autosleeper have always been good. They're renowned for being built really well and nice and rugged. So yeah, very nice vehicle. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll start on the control panel and then I will carry on and show you through to the appliances. So the control panel itself is a very, very simple unit. Now you've got a main power switch on the left at the top. You can see I've got that on at the moment, and that's how I'm able to flick through the center screen here. Now if I just go back to the home screen. So on the home screen, it tells you a couple of things. It tells you this is an EC325, sorry, which is essentially the name of the power supply unit that you've got in here, and the control panel. It also tells you the version that it's on, doesn't really matter, the time and the temperature. Okay, so that's just basically on the home screen. You've then got event timers. You can select those if you want to. No, alarm, you can set alarms. Clock, you can set the time on the clock. Water tank fill, you haven't got to do anything with that. Pump select. Now you've got the option of here on, sorry, you've got the option of internal, external, or both. Now basically, if you wanted to fill up your water tank with that external point that I showed you, then you would have to select either external or both on the pump select button. And basically what it does is it just sends a little bit of power to that point that I showed you so that the pump turns on when you plug it in. So, you know, just essentially if you want to fill up the fresh tank, make sure that you've either got external or both selected. But when you want to use the internal pump, so you want to draw the water through to the taps, you need to make sure that either both or internal is selected. So now that I've selected internal, if I turn the water pump switch on here, you can probably hear inside there the water pump. But we should then be able to draw the water through if there's any water in the tank, which I don't think there is. So that's a good start, isn't it? Right, so it's either that the water tank's not full or the boiler's not full. So anyway, it's not a very good example on my point, but anyway. So that is how you would select the 2 different options on the water pump. You've then got battery current. Now that's just telling us how many amps are being drawn from the battery currently. So you know, you got all the lights on here. We just had the water pump on and all that sort of stuff. So all the time that you're looking at that gauge there, it's just telling you how much current is being drawn from the battery. So that's quite normal. External temperature, waste tank full, sorry, not waste tank full, wastewater 0% full, freshwater 50% full. So we do have water in the tank, but it just means that the boiler's not completely full just yet. So that's perfectly normal. Next one, leisure battery type. Yeah, leave that alone. That is correct. It's a lead acid battery. Main supply off. That's just telling you the electric hookup's not plugged in. Vehicle battery voltage, leisure battery voltage, and then we're back to the home screen. Okay, so that is essentially just the basics of the control panel. That's just the options that you've got to flick through and see, and the things that you can see. So you've then got 2 other buttons that I've not mentioned. You've got this one at the top here with 2 little battery symbols on it. When you select that button on, so when this little light here is on next to this button, what it does is it switches between the batteries that you're using. So all the time that this light is off, like so, which is the way that you want it to be, by the way, all the time that light is off, it's actually the leisure battery that's powering all of the stuff in the back end of the van, which for obvious reasons is the way that you want it to be. If you're on a campsite and you haven't got the electric hookup plugged in and you are camping or whatever, you do not, for obvious reasons, you do not want all of this power to be being drawn from your engine battery. You know, pretty soon, you know, after a few hours of having these lights on, your engine battery is going to go flat and you'll be stuck in a field because you won't be able to start the van up. So make sure that if you are drawing power through to the back end of the van, that this little switch here is not on like it is now. Now, you might be thinking, well, what the hell's the point of that button then? So basically, if you are hooked up on the mains, all right, so let's just say you've got the electric hookup plugged in, you got the electric hookup plugged in. If you wanted to charge the engine battery via the electric hookup, then you can turn that button on, and the engine battery will then start to be charged by the electric hookup. Okay, so basically, this button here is essentially just a battery selector. When you've got the button on, it's selecting the vehicle battery. When you got it off, it's selecting the leisure battery. So that means that it selects the battery that's powering the lights and things, but it also selects the battery that's being charged by the hookup. So if your engine battery was flat and you had the electric hookup plugged in, then you can, if you want to, turn the button on like it is now, and the engine battery will be starting to be charged up by the hookup. So hopefully that makes sense. But that is the only reason that you would ever want to use that switch, okay? If you've got the electric hookup plugged in and you want to charge the engine battery, then turn that button on. Otherwise, make sure that you leave it turned off, because the leisure battery is the one that you want to be powering the van. Aux is basically just, you'll find that some things won't work without the aux button on. So sometimes these sort of 12-volt sockets here will come to life when you turn the aux button on. Sometimes the ignitions will need the aux button on. So I tend to come into a vehicle with some vans that have got this same control panel. I'll come into the van, turn the power switch on, turn the aux button on, and then that should really give you power to everything you can want to have power to. You've got some over-counter lights just here all the way around the top of the van there. So that's from that little switch just there next to the control panel. So I'll leave those on. Right, so I'll move on to the appliances now. So obviously we've got your range cooker just here. Now, on the British built vehicles like this one, you do tend to get these nice big cookers. Now you've got the option on here of the electric ring at the back, okay? Now this will not work at all until your electric hookup's plugged in. So that is a hookup powered appliance. So that's just got literally 1 through to 6 on this little left-hand button here. And when it is on, when your electric hookup's plugged in and you turn this on, you'll get this little red light here lights up, telling you that the burner is on. The rest of them are gas. So if you want to use it, there you go. Just a little bit of a weak flame as we've done our gas test on it. There you go. So just allowing that to warm up a little bit just after we've done our pressurized test on it. So that's how you would light up any of the top 3 burners here. So you've just got bottom left, bottom right, top right, and you've got your ignition switch there for those. Below that, we've got the grill just here, which is this little one here. Now with the grill, make sure that both sides of that grill light up. There you go. So if you find that when you light it up, it does exactly what it's just done there, where it was only lit up on the left-hand side, you need to make sure that you just blow into it a little bit and allow this other side to light up as well. Basically, so the reason that happens is because the igniter, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but the igniter is actually on this side. So it tends to light up this side and not the other side. But the problem is, when that happens, you'll find that, let me just try it. Oh no, it just light up both sides now because it's already hot. But when you don't get the other side lit up, if you let go of this valve here, it will just go out because the thermocouple or the flame sensor is on the other side here. So if it only lights up this near side, or the left-hand side here, it won't stay on. So you need to make sure that you just make sure that both sides are lit up. But that's a very boring thing to talk about. So anyway, so that is the grill. And then below that, we've got the oven. Again, just the more that you use these gas appliances, the less problems you'll find with them. You know, straight away just then I can see there's a little bit of flame lift just there, but it's literally just because it's not been used for ages. So you just need to make sure that you use these gas appliances as often as you can. I'll turn the oven off actually. Below that, in this little lower part, we have got absolutely nothing to show you. Just open up all these cupboards just to see if there's anything I need to explain. Oh, this here is a fitting for the external gas point. So if you wanted to use the external gas point, you know, like a barbecue fitting, then you've got this side here, which is like a speed fitting. So that just pushes straight into it. And then on the other side here is a barbed point, so you can put a rubber hose onto it. So that is your external gas point adapter. In here, we've got an additional piece of worktop space. Probably cutlery drawer area. That's to do with your reversing camera. And I don't know what that's for. I actually have no idea what that's for. Oh, that's to do with smoke alarm or something. So you can probably ignore that. Oh, no, it's not. Sorry. Vapor use. That's to do with the external gas tank. Anyway, it's just a little bit of information, I suppose. Right, so the sink just here. So obviously, as I say, this is a hot and cold tap here. Now, before you start trying to use the hot water in this van, which I will explain to you how to use in a minute, before you start trying to do that, you need to make sure of one thing. Now, basically, it's really good practice to make sure that you've got water in the boiler. And the only way to do that is basically just to turn the water pump on and draw the water through on the tap. Now, essentially, when the boiler is sort of nearly full up, you'll start getting water coming through here on the tap. Now, I haven't had a little look at this just yet. But basically, there we go. Just getting a little bit of water come through now. So it's not the best pressure in the world just yet because it's not completely full, but you understand the point. So it's really important to make sure that the boiler's got some water in it before you start trying to use it. If the boiler is completely empty and you start trying to heat the water up, then, you know, if you get a kettle, plug it into the socket up there and turn it on when it's empty, it's going to overheat and probably give you some problems. So it is important in that same sort of sense. You do need to make sure that the boiler has got some water in it. And the only way to do that really is just to do what I've just done there. Just make sure there's water coming through the hot side of the tap. And then you can go ahead and use it. So in that same breath, we will show you how to use the boiler. So this is your heating and your hot water here. Okay, so this is a Webasto system. Now this is a diesel and mains electric system. So you can see at the top right hand side here, it says 230 volt and there's a little cross through it. So that's just telling us that the mains hookup is not plugged in. Okay. So at the moment, we cannot use this system on the mains. So what it will do, if I select heating cabin and press OK, it will tell us selection completed, and it will say the temperature, and it will say diesel. So we've selected a temperature here. We can select whatever temperature we want, and you can see there it's going to start heating the van up, and it's going to do it on diesel. If we had the electric hookup plugged in, it would also have a mains hookup 230 volt thing written in here as well. Now you can go through and change that if you want to. I believe it's down here in the settings. Set up. I'm kind of new to these systems, if I'm completely honest, so let's just have a little look. No, that's if you had a... Well, when you have... Sorry, I've just sort of reminded myself of it. When the electric hookup's plugged in, you have the option of choosing one or the other. When you've not got the hookup plugged in, you don't have any other options, so it just chooses diesel for you automatically. But yeah, essentially you just press, if you want heating, you press heating. It will say selection completed. Press OK to change operation mode. Okay, so that will just give you the option when you have got the mains plugged in, you have the option of switching between the two. But as for now, you can see we've got the heating on 24 degrees and it's working on diesel. So I can already hear actually the air pumping through the vents, which will be these ones down here. Okay, and that'll just start doing its thing. You will find, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the video, but you will find that some LED lights will start sort of flashing a little bit when it first starts up. That's completely normal. It happens on every vehicle that I've ever been in that has a diesel heater. It's just basically the pump kicking in, and it just draws quite a lot of power. So it's completely normal. When you want to turn the heating off, just press this button here that says stop. And it now says start in that position there, so it means that it's been turned off. So that's how you would use the heating. The next one down, hot water. Click on that one. We've got comfort 70 degrees or economy at 40. So we press OK. Selection completed. And it's telling us now the water heating is at 40 degrees and it's working on the diesel. I can press stop, turns that off. And then the last option we've got is heating and hot water at the same time. Selection completed. And it's on. So it is so easy, all right? If you want to have both at the same time with water and heating, you choose water and heating, etc, etc, etc. So it's very simple. Press stop when you want to turn it off. And basically after, I think it's about a minute or so, the screen will end up turning itself off. If you want to turn the entire system off, press that button just there. It'll say shutting down and it will purge itself. It will carry on pumping the hot air through for a little while just to allow it to cool itself down. But that's it. So really simple and easy to use. Now you've got a microwave up here. This is a mains powered appliance. Okay, so this will only work when your electric hookup's plugged in. Below that, we've got your 3-way Thetford fridge. Now this has got the separate freezer compartment at the top and the fridge compartment at the bottom. Now to use these Thetford fridges, you've got an on button just here. I'll just zoom in a little bit. You've got an on button here. When you press that on, you get a little screen coming on. Now the screen is very simple. You've got a few options. You can select through. Right, let me just get down so I can show you properly. So the options that you've got is gas, which is what we're on now. Mains electric or 12 volt. Okay. Now the mains electric and the 12 volt are giving us a fault code. So 12 volts telling us fault code number 10. Mains electric is telling us fault code number 8. Now basically the reason that you've got two fault codes there, when you're trying to choose the electric hookup, obviously the electric hookup needs to be plugged in. So that's the fault code we're getting for that one. And when it comes to the 12 volt, it's because the engine isn't running. So the 12 volt option on the fridge actually takes power from the engine running in order to cool the fridge down. So this will only work when you're driving. And so the idea is that you get the fridge cold first before you leave, either on the mains or on the gas. And then you switch over to 12 volt just for when you're driving. So for the time being, I can only use this on gas. So when you select gas like that, it will just literally light up by itself. And, you know, after a couple of hours or so, you have a nice cold fridge. To the right of that, the other switch here is your temperature selector. So you can literally just go through and select the temperature, whatever it is you want. And you've got the option of auto, which will automatically select one of those 3 options for you, depending on what you have available. And that's it. When you want to turn the fridge off, press and hold the button here. And that's it. Super easy. Nothing to them. Yeah, we don't really tend to have any issues with those, to be fair. You have obviously got a TV just here, and you've got the actual point just there that's plugged into, well, actually the cable runs up through to here, I think, doesn't it? On this one, yeah. So that's all plugged in just there. All of the cables and stuff and the remotes are in this cupboard here. In this locker at the top just here, we have got your TV aerial booster. Now, this has got a little switch on the top left-hand side here to turn it on and off. So if you don't want that on, you can leave it off like that for the most part. So let me just see if there's anything else just here. I don't think there is. So the last thing to show you is going to be the bathroom. So in the actual bathroom itself, you've got some really nice LED lights around. Obviously you've got your normal factory fitted lights, well, they're all factory fitted, but you've got your lights all the way around. I'll just point out as well, in the actual shower room here, which is a really nice size separate shower room, you've got this little light up here. When you turn this on, you'll notice that this fan will come on as well. So essentially the fan just comes on with the power for the light, and it's just an extractor for the shower. So that's a nice thing to have as well. You've got your standard sink just here. This is literally just another hot and cold tap just there. Nothing technical to explain on that front. Nice big wardrobe at the back. This is that external table. Oh, sorry, no, external table. This is that small table that I was saying about with the silver pole here. So you can have that connected up down there in the front if you want to. Loads of storage in the actual locker just here at the back, but not much else to show you, to be honest. The only thing I tend to actually explain in the bathrooms is the toilet. So if you haven't used one of these Thetford toilet cassettes before, you might not know how to use them. So essentially it couldn't be much more easy. You just press the blue button just here to get the flush fluid. Okay, so that's your flush fluid going around. And then you've got the handle here, which you pull towards you to drain into the cassette. So now that that flap's open, everything just drains straight into the cassette. And then just make sure that you pull this back to the left. If you don't pull it back to the left, a couple of things will happen. First of all, you have really bad smell coming back through into the van because you have a direct hole into the toilet cassette. And also, if you have it in the open position like this, that is now locked in position. You will not be able to take that cassette out from outside. So you need to make sure that you have it closed if you want to be able to empty it out. But that is about it. So I don't think that there's anything else that I can explain, really. I don't think there's much else or anything that I've missed out. If there is, or if there's anything you want me to explain over again, just give us a shout. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.